Hi everyone, Gemma here. Thank you very much for watching. So in today's video, we're going to be making this golf theme triple tier slider card. So this is using the new collection from Made to Surprise. It's got some wonderful elements to it. And I really love this style of card. I think it's so fun. It's great for building those scenes, but also equally lovely with some lovely pattern paper and some florals, and it's great for adding a gift voucher or some money. So it stands up like so. You pull this tier and it reveals two others, so I'm going to have to just lie it down flat on my desk so I can almost get it in shot. So it's 5 by about 13 when you finally pull the tiers out. It hasn't got too much dimension to it in terms of the sort of pockets, but I've added a lot of dimension here on the front with those elements and the sentiment. But obviously you can keep your layers quite flat, so it'd be ideal for posting. So let's get into the tutorial. So we're going to be making a golf theme card. So to make that, I'm using the Out and About A5 paper pack. And you've got this lovely green grass and cloudy sky in the background. Stamps and dies I'm using is the So Sporty stamp set, and obviously the Mechanism 5x7 die set. So I'll just set these to one side. I'm going to talk you through each layer at a time, and this is how I like to assemble it. So for the first layer, so the very top tier, I like to work top to bottom. I'm just going to grab the dies. So in the set you've got 3 nesting rectangles. So I'm just using the 2 largest for this. So the largest forms the third tier, the smallest tier, and then you can decorate with mats and layers with the 2 other squares. So I've just gone for the pattern paper just on top there, and then I've stamped "Have a terrific day." Then using the scallop circle die, I've cut it in white and I've added a black arrow. Now I've taken the arrow from another die set. There are lots of mechanisms within the range that have movement to them, and lots of them have arrow dies. You could stamp the word pull, you could write the word pull. It's quite versatile. Across the Made to Surprise range you'll find something that can fit in there. As I said, last resort, you can handwrite that in if you need to. So nothing too complicated for this tier. Just going to attach the pattern paper to the white piece and then pop the scallop circle within the center. Just be mindful when you are stamping onto these panels that some of it is hidden. So learn from my mistake that you don't stamp all the way to the bottom, because it will be hidden, as I said. So just be mindful of that. So first tier complete. Set this to one side. We're going to need that for the next tier. So just bring in the elements that I prepared off camera. So you've got this die here with the 2 rectangles and a tab panel. So I've cut that in white cardstock. Then this piece with the 2 tracks, I cut that in white as well. One of these, and then you've got your mats and layers for your front, and I've just used the largest one to cut the pattern paper, and I've stamped a golf ball and some movement stamp there. I am going to add another golf ball there just in the white so it stands out a bit more. I wasn't quite happy with that there, so yeah, I'm going to add an additional one just over the top of that. So I'm going to set my dies to one side, and then I'll talk you through how we need to assemble this. So I run my cardstock through my scoreboard again, just went over those score lines just to reinforce them and make sure that there's no cracking. So you want to fold and burnish along the score lines on that piece. So this will form the pocket that the top tier is going to sit in. So I like to have the tab here facing on the right hand side. And we're going to take this piece with the two tracks and this rectangle piece, and you want to feed it through the two tracks. So you've got on the back there a small section feeded through, and then you've got the two pieces hanging out here. So I like to push it right down to the bottom and then fold it over. Now normally with sort of a belly band or kinetic style cards, we like to have a bit of movement for it to glide easier. If you're having your orientation is portrait and you want it to hold itself in place, you need these to be quite tight. You don't want them too tight so that it prevents it from moving, but you want it to be able to sort of lock into position. So I've just trimmed a little bit off there, just because you get a little bit of overhang with this size I should say. And then I've just wrapped the other side over, and I'm just going to burnish that with my bone folder. So just double check you're happy with that. So when it's attached together, it should be able to move up and down like so. If you're worried that it's too tight, you can sort of go in and just stretch that out a little bit. As I said, just be mindful. So the first sort of one I made, the middle tier wasn't locking into place and it was falling back down. And that was because this section was too loose on mine. So I'm going to take a little bit just off this side as well and add some quick grab glue to attach these two pieces together. So just give that a moment to grab. You might want to just burnish that. I'm going to flip this over and I'm adding, if I bring this up to the camera, so this track here, you want to avoid any glue in this section. I'm going to do it sort of in this C shape, and you can have a little bit over the top. Just be mindful that none of it oozes out, because if it catches on that mechanism, then it'll be locked into place. So I just like to go around this area with some quick grab glue. And then I'm going to take this piece, and you've got a smaller section here at the top and a larger section at the bottom. So just be mindful when you're placing that within this section. So I'm just adding that there. Give that a good press. And then I'm adding glue all along this section here. So precision tip glue bottle is ideal for sort of these kind of makes. And I like to have it down at the bottom, so I know that it's square. You want to line it up so you've got equal amounts each side, and line the bottom edge up like so. So I'm just going to do a quick little check that you're able to see the sentiment. I need to come up a little bit more. There we are. So as I said about your stamping, so you can get away with it slightly on here, on this sort of tier, I would say. It does mean that it's more, it's poking out to the top more. So press that down well, and then you should have really nice movement. As I said, that needs to hold itself while it's standing up in place there. So I'm happy with that now. I'm going to fold this tab over. And I'm going to add quick grab glue here. Again, be mindful that you don't add too much and it's oozing out the sides, because it could catch onto this piece. And then just fold the front section over. I'm just going to hold that in place for a moment. Then you want to do a check that that's moving freely up and down before you move on to the next tier. So happy with that. Going to decorate the front of that now with my pattern paper. Set that to one side and we'll work on the bottom tier. So just bring in the dies and the elements that I've prepared. So we've got the largest die within the set, and it cuts these to rectangles and your tab. So it's the same as the middle tier but just larger. So one of those, one of the tracks, again larger panel that you've seen in the middle tier, and this one. So this is the only die that you need to cut twice. So one each of those, and then you've got your nesting dies for your mats and layers. And again, I've just used the larger one to cut the pattern paper. Initially, I did like the grass on the front there. I thought it worked quite nice. But then as I was sort of adding the golfer and the different elements, I didn't quite like how it looked. So probably it would have been better just to use the blue sky in the background. But I'm going to cover this up, which you'll see shortly, with this. Just bringing the design more into the center of the panel. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so there's all your cutting pieces, and we're just going to work on this tier the same as we did for the middle tier. And then as soon as you make one or two of these, you get a feel for them. So fold and burnish along your score lines. I'm going to work with the 1/2 inch tab, and we're working on the inside of the panel here on the right hand side. Take your track piece and weave that rectangle through those 2 slots. Push it right down to the bottom, make sure it's in the center, and wrap each side over. Give that a good burnish. You can just do a check, that's moving fine. Push it back down, and then you only want a small amount just here. Again, make sure that that doesn't ooze out, and wrap that over. Hold that down. So I'm going to add the glue in the same place as well, this sort of C section. So you've got your smaller section at the top and your larger section at the bottom. I'm decorating each tier as I go along, but you can add the tiers and then add your decoration at the end. And again, we're going to place this just in the center of those score lines, right down to the bottom, and that fits perfectly inside that section there. So give that a good press. You can do a check now that this is moving. Once you add that tier, obviously it'll help pull that up. So you push that right down so you've got a nice straight edge, and add your glue all along this panel here. And then you want to center this within that section and make sure that bottom edge lines up. So the middle tier is concealed within the bottom tier, if that makes sense. So when you close this pocket up, you can only see the top tier of the card. So again, check that movement. Happy with that. Just need to press that down for a moment. Apologies if the camera's shaking, moving about a lot. So you want to make sure that's held nicely in place. And then fold your tab back, add in your quick grab glue again. Fold the front over. Give that a moment to grab and then just check. So it's a little difficult for me to show you on camera, but I'm just checking that that doesn't fall down. It locks itself into place and, you know, it's displayed like so. So I'm now going to add my pattern paper to the last layer. So can't fully get you on camera there. So I'm adding my pattern paper with Collall glue just to help strengthen that piece, because it's 190 GSM. So, you know, if you want to strengthen that further, you can add additional layers to the back of it. But because it's sitting on the white 300 GSM smooth white cardstock, this is from Creative Craft Products, that will really strengthen that piece. So you don't have to have the tiers pulling up. You can have it landscape, you can have it coming from the right, coming from the left. I'm actually working on a double slider, so pulling out from both sides. I made like a little bit of a prototype, which I think works really well. So I'm going to film that video next, I think. So we'll, fingers crossed, it works. So let me just bring in the additional elements I've prepared off camera. So I've used another of the pattern paper then to add just here. I've got It's Party Time there. I was going to have the golfer perhaps just there. Oh, there actually. Make sure you stay within the card, especially if you want to fit it in an envelope. But I'm going quite dimensional, and I think I do like a little bit of overhang now and again. And then I've got the golf bag, and then some clubs. I thought maybe I did it like that. Something like that. Whoop. Let's pull that out. I'm going to add this extra golf ball. Just covering that stamped one. Yeah, that looks much better, I think. You want to make sure that that is completely glued down. I wouldn't use any foam on, any pieces here. On the front will be fine. I just think it'll add too much dimension and it might catch as you're closing the card back up. Yeah, so I'm going for something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead now and attach all of these elements down. I'll just cut a piece to create a stand. It's really simple, sort of tent fold style. Just to help you display this card better. But obviously you can have it lying down. It just depends if you're one of those people that likes everything to stand. So I'll come back to you once this is done. So I've trimmed a piece of A4 cardstock down to 4 inches, and I'm scoring at 4.5, 9, 10 and 11, and it just gives me a little bit of a larger tab, just so I don't have to trim it away. You could come, if you're using letter cardstock, you could probably come down to 4, 8, 9, 10. And then you'd have a lot, you probably want to trim it to 10.5, but nothing too complicated here. So I'm going to mountain fold that first score line, mountain fold again, then valley and mountain. Just so you create this shape, and you just fold that one over and seal that up. If you're not too confident in just sort of making this tent fold, I think there are stands in there's another slider card style, words of failing me, double slider I think it's called. You've got a square and a circle one, and I think they've both got stands in there, so you could use those if needs be. So just add in quick grab glue to that larger tab there and folding that over. Burnish that down well. So I'm going to have the tab facing on the inside there. So I'm going to add Collal glue now. just to help strengthen that piece. Obviously there's a lot of weight at the top of the card, so this is why I've gone for a larger stand. It's almost, you know, the full length of the card, and you just want to line those edges up at the bottom together. So you can see there that it stands up really nicely. That clar glue is still drying, so I'm just going to give that some time. So the front of the card, it's party time. Lovely cluster of elements there. I've gone sort of quite simple in terms of decoration. I've added a few elements, but I think this sort of style of card really lends itself well for building those lovely scenes. You know, some gorgeous pattern paper and some beautiful floral elements would look lovely. I think it's giving cake tier vibes. So you could add additional elements across the top here. You could have some icing and then some lovely decoration. So slightly off camera there, pull the top up and you've got that continuation of the design plus the pattern papers, and then have a terrific day. So just about get it all on camera. So it's 5 by 12.5, maybe 13 actually, with the scallop circle at the top. As I said, you could, you know, adjust just your stand so it stands up like this on the other side. This is great for adding some money or a gift voucher. You could attach that just inside there and that'll be completely hidden. Obviously a nice surprise then for the recipient when they open that up. I hope you've enjoyed today's video from me. If you have, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit the like button, leave a comment, or consider subscribing to the channel. If you do subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future tutorials. If the product is still available, because the last couple of launches, Sam has sold out. So hopefully you can get your hands on this as I'm filming ahead of time. Obviously, this is one of my samples for the collection. So if it is available, I will link it for you. I hope you have a lovely crafty day. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.